And we're live.
Back at it again with Succession.
Yeah, took a couple weeks off, some vacations, some weddings, etc. So it's been a minute, but we left off with season 4, episode 7, Tailgate Party, where the presidential election is impending. We found out that Gojo is basically a Ponzi scheme of sorts. All of their subscriber numbers are inflated, and it's fake bots in India. Roman kind of is all in to try to get Mencken, the white supremacist candidate, elected because he thinks that he will block the deal with Gojo. Tom is spiraling out because he has no idea what's going to happen. Shiv tells him he's pregnant.
She's pregnant.
Yeah. Gender doesn't matter anymore. Shiv says that she is
where
pregnant.
they have that awful argument?
Yeah. Oh, I guess Shiv tells him in the next episode. Yeah, this episode ends with that horrific argument on the balcony where they just let each other know that they hate the other.
Yeah, more than pretty much anything in the world.
Mm-hmm. And then Tom ends the party with everybody over at the apartment. And Kendall tells Frank that he wants to buy Gojo, since Gojo's numbers are wrong. He assumes that they'll become smaller than Waystar again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we talked about that last time, but that's sort of the abridged version of Tailgate Party, which leads directly into America Decides. Another banner episode for the show. Because it all takes place on election night, where most of the cast is in the ATN building.
Yeah.
Roman is like just all in on Mencken, trying to push for like as many possible positive news stories that ATN can spin for him. And Kendall keeps getting calls from his ex-wife about how like their daughter is being targeted. I think because they're Jewish. They don't outright say, but that was definitely what the implication was that
she was being targeted, but then also there are like people following them. And then he basically, what were the people following them put on them by Kendall? Or was there someone
yeah,
following them before that and then she was getting worried?
she was being paranoid that people were following them, so Kendall puts a security detail on them.
Right.
But it was unclear like which happened first. They didn't really explicitly show. Like a lot of the show, they do that really well, where it's just what someone says or what they think is their reality versus the reality that we never get to see.
Yeah, exactly.
And this episode highlights that really well because predominantly it just takes place in these newsrooms where everyone is scrambling around trying to figure out who's going to be the president. This is where Shiv says she's pregnant, and Tom is like, are you?
Yeah.
Is it even mine? Which is just so cold.
Yeah, like part of me can't really blame him for like thinking that, but the way that he delivers it is definitely brutal. Not the fact that like is it even mine, but like more so doubting whether or not she is pregnant, like whether or not she is just like trying to achieve some weird ends by this game. But
Yeah,
meanwhile, she's just trying to inform her, hey, we're going to have a child together. Which is the cruel irony of everything, because every time that Shiv is human or tries to be human. It's like the boy who cried wolf. It's like, are you really? Is there anything going on behind those eyes? Because it doesn't seem like it. But meanwhile, there actually is.
Yeah, and for her credit, she's the only one that is ardently against Mencken.
Yes.
She's like, we can't actually elect this guy. Like he is very bad.
Yeah,
And
she can
Kendall is the
see
only
that.
one conflicted. Roman is just like, who cares? Like he's gone full nihilism, and Shiv
Oh
is
yeah.
I mean Shiv also has the connections to the Jimenez campaign with her ex being one of the campaign people on it.
Hmm.
So it's unclear if it actually has anything to do with her moral superiority or idealistic beliefs or progressive beliefs rather, and whether or not it's just hey, I could maybe fuck the chief of staff.
Yeah, and then Kendall is thinking about like going with Jimenez. But then Greg tells him that Shiv has been working with Matson behind his back. So then he's like, all right, fuck her. Time to support the supremacists.
Yeah, because Greg is just everywhere, and there's that scene where he's hanging out with the Norwegians and just like translates what they say, and he's like, "Wait a minute, they're working with Shiv."
Yeah.
I think this is the episode where he tells Tom, and Tom, maybe it's the one before. Tom is like, "Information is like a fine wine. You hold on to it, you bottle it, you hold on to it, and then when you need it, you smash it over somebody's fucking face."
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
what he does in this episode. He breaks in case of emergency. Once again backing Kendall, thinking Kendall will be the one that might come out on top.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, Kendall makes the decision to like back Mencken more based on the fact that Shiv betrayed him or something rather than any actual ideological belief, which
Correct.
just hammers home so much of what the show has been going for up until this point. The idea that all of these decisions that these characters make at the highest level of even choosing the president is not based on anything other than some spiteful choice, some
Yeah.
familial action that goes back to their childhood and their competitive natures.
Well, you did this, so I have to do this now. Why'd you make me do this? Why'd you do
Hmm.
that?
Yeah, but the episode begins to climax when they find out that a like truck full of mail-in ballots or something has been firebombed. And most of the other news sources are like, well, this is a problem because it's Wisconsin and most of those votes probably were going to be Jimenez's. But ATN, like basically because of Roman and Kendall, they're like, nah, Manchin's going to win the state. Just call it for Manchin.
Well, we don't actually know that those votes are Democrat. And they're like, what? Shiv is like, but it's Wisconsin. Like they are Democrat there, and he's like, yeah, but we don't actually know.
Yeah, you can never really know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they call Wisconsin early, and then Arizona's sort of flip-flopping, so they call Arizona, and then they're like, yeah, just call it. Just say Megan won, spread it out. That'll make it more official. And they basically just speak his, at least election night victory into existence.
Yeah, because they were the first to call it, which apparently is a huge deal for the newscasters or the news team, whoever calls it first, but they also just call it without any confirmation. Like it
Yeah,
is just up
yeah.
in the air, up in the balance. And then once they do that, then all the rest of them are like, oh yeah, this just in. Yeah, the Mencken took this one. Took Arizona, took whatever. But I wanted to also say that it's similar to when Kendall is like, well, do we actually know that dad is dead? Like he's not
Right.
dead. We don't have that information yet. I haven't seen him dead. He's not actually dead.
Yeah. But that's kind of like a bargaining tool, manipulative tool they use to just get what they want by denying reality.
Yes.
Since they constantly are trying to shy away from the facts of a situation for whatever they think should happen, because facts are never something that any of them really care about.
No, it's how can I either move up or how can I push my sibling down or stab this person in the back.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the great episode.
Yeah, and it directly mirrors directly mirrors our country in a lot of ways. Like the political sphere, but with like the media controlling a lot.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, the way, yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought you were saying
Not in
like
like a
the,
supremacist elect.
yeah, okay, I would agree with that.
No.
Yeah, because we that's how we get all our information for who won. Like there are long compilation videos all over the internet of like people melting down in 2016,
Yes.
like hours and hours of footage of all the news sources starting at like 7 p.m. and being like, well, it would appear by all our metrics that there's a 99.8% chance of Clinton winning. Everything's looking good. Everything is good. And then, 2 hours later, they're like, looks like she lost Ohio and Florida.
You see
This is
like
getting hairy.
you see like half of a fifth of Jack is just gone.
Oh, you can tell by like 10, 11 o'clock on that night. People were like, I mean, some of the people were just like downright depressed. They're just
Early
like, oh,
early morning you start to see nooses in the background. Just people losing it.
people were very upset by the outcome of that evening's results. And it all came from just, Wolf Blitzer being like, oh, you Arizona.
Yeah. Good old Wolf.
But yeah,
The next one
a
is
great
Church and
episode.
State. Another amazing episode. This one might be one of my favorites, partially because of Ewan's speech.
Yeah.
There's some really good speeches in here, for different reasons. But yeah, the basically this is where Logan's funeral is happening, and there's that great bit where um all of the women that Logan had been with are all like in the same pew. And uh the kids parents, so Roman, Kendall, and Shiv, their mom is like standing next to, or she brings, oh god, we did this in the last episode, we forgot the woman's name.
Doesn't matter.
um
Not knowing it is what the show wanted.
Yeah, well, anyway, she's walking her down the aisle and arrives at the pew, and she's like, "Oh, this is whatever her name is." And then she's like, "Oh, we haven't seen this person before." And she's like, "Yeah, she's my you." like like
Yeah.
this is the real like wife, and then this is just the side piece who just is involved in the business that Logan was with. So it's just
Hmm.
four women in a pew together, commiserating and also feeling bad. But that was a pretty good um part of it. And then um is it Ewan speaks first?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes up and speaks first. To be clear, he was not supposed to speak, and they tried to get him off, and he was like, "No, fuck you, I'm saying my piece." Uh, yeah, and he just doesn't pull any punches at all. Um,
He absolves Logan of like some of his problems.
right. No, I mean he paints like a human picture of Logan, especially about he doesn't have the best childhood. But then he charges him basically with ruining the world with his power and influence, or at least ruining the parts of the world that he touched, I would say. And then Roman is supposed to speak, That's like a thing that they've been talking about in the last few episodes, is that Roman wants to step up and give the speech, but he cannot.
No, he breaks down right before.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Kendall has to basically step in. Kendall's
Yeah, and he
speeches.
gives a more haunting speech.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he had a great power, and I hope it's in me too, even if it's evil. Functionally.
Yeah.
Whereas Ewan, highlights the tragedy of Logan's childhood and then goes into like, that doesn't justify the fact that he has hurt this world significantly. Um, but yeah, it definitely is like Ewan basically saying like he lived a full life and you can't deny him his success regardless of how many sins he committed along the way. Whereas Kendall is just like, yeah, sign me up. That's what I
He's
want to be.
yeah, he's like, this is America. You can't change that. You just need to be that.
Hmm. Yeah. So
Shiv talks as well, I believe, for a bit.
I don't remember that.
Her speech is much shorter. Um, but anyway, skipping ahead to, she basically she's able to get Madsen and Mencken um on board with letting Gojo go through, because she wants to be the American CEO that they um agree to allowing.
Hmm.
And then Kendall and Roman um are gonna basically go against her at the next board vote, or the final board vote for the acquisition.
Yeah, and this is the episode that ends with Roman like walking off into the protests and just demanding to get beat up.
Right. He just walks into the crowd just screaming the F word in people's faces, and he's wearing a suit.
Yeah, kind of the final. I mean, he's always liked to be degraded and shit on, but this is the one thing where he's like, yeah, I just want to be punished. Just overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then there's
The last one. So this one, Kendall tries to do the same thing that he's always done, which is block things so that he can then take control, basically. So he and Shiv go to Caroline's place, and oh yeah, that's their mom's place.
yeah, and they have to sit through the stupid dinner with her husband who has like some business proposition, and they're all like, "Can you just shut up,
Yeah.
please? None
Yeah.
of us want to hear what you have to say."
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're
And they're trying to get Roman back because he is messed up from the rioting thing, and the emotional damage from not being able to deliver um during the speech. Um oh yeah, and Madsen is basically talking with Tom and gives him that offer for the CEO position. And obviously Greg is involved then, because he's like, "Hey, guys, yeah, I don't think Shiv is going to be the CEO."
yeah, Greg just knows it'll be Tom.
Hmm. Yeah, because Tom tells him that thing like, "Yeah, things just got a lot better for me, and if things got better for me, then they got better for you."
Yeah, so then that's ultimately what sways them, dude. vote together.
Mm-hmm. So they decide to vote against. They're voting against the deal going through, or they're voting against Tom becoming CEO.
They're voting not to sell the company to Gojo.
Right. Which then would necessitate Tom becoming the CEO.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is where the vote is happening, and like it seems to be a surefire thing. Like they're going around the table, and Roman seems a little like hesitant, and you're like not sure whether or not he's gonna.
Yeah, because we've watched him choke in this position twice.
Yeah.
But without his dad there, there's no one to intimidate him, so he votes yes.
Right. And then it gets to Shiv.
Yeah, and then she breaks down because she's looking at Kendall and she's like, wait a minute. This is that scumbag I've been fighting with the whole series and my whole life. I can't do this.
Yeah, and he kindles it where he's like, "But we're right here. I thought we had this all figured out."
I'm the eldest boy.
Yeah.
Is an exact quote from one of the things he says. Yeah, but you killed a guy. No, I didn't. No. What? You just made that up? No, I didn't. That didn't kill that one. I like you killed more. No, I didn't. I made. That was just a metaphor. I just made that up. Yeah, you can't be CEO.
Before the meeting as well, he like digs his finger into, or he like hugs Roman and like digs his shoulder into his eye, doesn't he?
No, that's like during this fight, during this argument.
No, I think he does it before. During the fight, he like starts choking him out. I think that's different.
He puts his hands on his face and presses into the wounds on his forehead.
I could have sworn he did that before, like intimidate. Yeah, he does that in the fight, but beforehand he like hugs him and hurts his eye. Because Kendall is a little bit on the fence, and then or Roman is a little on the fence, and Kendall like strong arms him, kind of like their dad. He physically hurts him.
When they're in Barbados,
No, it's like right before the meeting.
hmm.
And then after the meeting is when like Shiv, Roman, and Kendall are all in that room when she basically goes and she's like, I just need time to think, and they're like, we don't have time to think. And then Roman starts to like also flip, and that's when Kendall basically starts choking him out after they're like, but you did kill that guy. And then that basically confirms to Shiv. She's like, yeah, no, you're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Shiv basically Shiv's vote is the one that allows the deal to go through. Tom becomes CEO, and yeah,
Yeah, you get that horrifying shot of them in the car together.
Shiv and Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where they hold hands and it's like, oh yeah, their kid is fucked.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, then they show Roman getting a drink, and then Roman and Kendall's like out looking at the ocean, and Roman's in the background.
I don't think Roman's in the background. I think it's the bodyguard.
Oh, right. Yeah, because Roman goes to the bar with a drink
Yes.
by himself. And yeah, the bodyguard is there to stop Kendall from killing himself.
Yes. Because it definitely seems heavily implied he is ready to end it all.
Well, there's a theme of water with him the entire show.
Yes.
Drowns the kid in water and nearly drowns himself in water.
Looking out at water.
He's always, reflecting on water. So, yeah. He is completely defeated. He's learned nothing, gained nothing, other than probably billions of dollars. That's the funny part, is them selling the company and they're all going to get billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a hollow victory for everyone. Like, with that being the end of the show, like what you see from the way that the show wants you to feel, the way that the characters are feeling, it's almost like it makes it out that it's disappointing that all of the characters lost, or like you might be happy that Tom won per se. But everything that concluded that way is still up in the air because it's heavily implied that Mencken will not be president because they're going to recount all those votes in Wisconsin, and they called Mencken early. So the courts are likely to just overturn his victory anyway, meaning that the deal might just get nuked afterward and everyone gets screwed.
Yeah, ATN is called into question, may fold. Yeah.
And like Tom being the CEO, it's not like Tom is now the big man on campus. Like Tom will just be the puppet of Mattson doing whatever Mattson is telling him to do because it's Mattson's big multinational corporation.
Right.
So like Tom ultimately doesn't really get anything other than the title and I suppose more money.
Yeah, but he has a completely ruined relationship with Shiv. Completely, like he's completely debased himself, betrayed himself in lots of ways, or what we have seen to be himself, just based on like other episodes and other things that he's explained.
Well, he did propose to Shiv while Logan was in the hospital in the second episode, so I don't know that his motives were ever very pure.
He, I think he wants, I think he wants some, like he wants another human to connect with. Like I think that's true, but him shotgun proposing to Shiv was definitely manipulative, but also, yeah, I think I think he wants another human as a connection, and he's just like, well, this lady is also gonna give me a lot of opportunity, so I'm gonna try to seize that opportunity, try to push for as much as I possibly can, which he does throughout, and then also treats Greg as a punching bag and other people around him.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it seems like he just wants someone that he can indulge his high lifestyle in. That's why he's like part of the reason he wines and dines Greg all the time is because he just wants someone else to enjoy like the fruits of being rich so that he doesn't have to do it alone because he's seen that a lot of these people end up alone and bitter because the path to getting power and money usually means that you destroy everyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, he's like, "I got you, Greg." So their bromance is still alive, despite all of the physical abuse and backstabbing.
Yay.
And you get that. There's that one great quote I really like where Carl and Frank are talking as they see Tom like strutting up to the meeting, and Carl's just like, "We should have smothered him in the cradle." But Carl and Frank get exactly what they want because now they can finally divest from this shit company and get paid.
Yes. It literally paid off for them.
But yeah, basically it seems like everybody lost. There are no real winners in this scenario.
What do you mean? They all got lots of money. Money is happiness.
None of them care about money. They only want the power.
No, because when you get that much money, like that much money, $100 million is functionally the same as $500 million. Like you just get bigger and better and crazier things, more
No,
complicated things.
as we learned, 100 million buys like 1% of the vote.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
can I hit you up for a quick 100 mil?
Exactly.
What?
But it's like, but I want another $400 million and my wife to hate me.
Right. So yeah, that's Succession. Definitely a phenomenal show. I'm sure I'll rewatch it um some point in the next few years. Examines a lot. I mean, it's not just about power dynamics, but like any good show, it examines the impact of trauma generationally. It uses the term like the poison drips through, or that
Mm,
phrase. Kendall says that at some point, like wondering if the poison drips through, and clearly it does. So the effects of the shitty upbringing Logan had is a direct path for him to take for how he treats his family, like that thing that his wife says about him hitting the dog just to see if it would come back.
right.
Uh, and then the way that that sort of ripples out with the same way that the siblings treat each other and everyone else around them. Um, there are no real people to root for in this morally. So I think that's something that makes the show interesting is that even by the end, it feels like a gut punch that Kendall doesn't get the CEO. Because the whole show has been leading up to like he's kind of been the main character.
Yes.
And so even though he's just like a tough guy to get behind, there's still a lot of empathy with the like, he has worked pretty hard to do this and he's made some pretty reasonable chess moves along the way. He's shown that he's like mostly capable of running it. Mostly. I mean, he still is if you press the right buttons, he will just do a bunch of cocaine and murder a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but who doesn't? What CEO doesn't do that?
None. I don't know. All of them?
I have no idea. Um, yeah, I like I like the quote that you said the poison seeps through. I definitely see that also for the continual grab of money and power. Um, that like because this person is doing that, then I have to do that. It's kind of like it's like war games. Um, if this person gets this tank, well, I need five more of those tanks. If this person hurts me, it's the same thing as like an eye for an eye. They just keep doing that over and over and over again in order to gain more power or influence. And it's always at what cost? Well, the
Mm-hmm.
cost is themselves. The cost is having each other that they can actually like rely on and trust. Because at the end of the day, nobody can trust anyone. Sounds cliche, but the show really set it up so that like clearly they cannot trust anyone. There's no
Yeah,
one that
not
any
not in
character
this world.
there's no one that any character can turn to that is wholly on their side. Like even Greg and Tom, who are arguably the the closest or chummiest. At any given time, Greg will just do whatever he wants, use information or whatever to move on to something else.
Yeah, there's too many incentives for honesty to ever play a role or trustworthiness or loyalty.
Right.
Like the most loyal people appear to be the ones who have worked with Logan for the longest, like Carl and Frank. And we know that both of them are like doing stuff off screen that's just the same as what Greg does.
Yeah.
They just leak information, send information here, constantly talking.
Yeah, because they're looking out for themselves in the long term.
Hmm. Yeah, oddly enough, I don't find this show to be particularly cynical. Like even though it's a very negative portrayal of like American boardroom politicking. I don't find it to be a cynical view of it. I find it to be like it's trying to mine humor out of it, but not in a way that's like this will never change, and more so like don't worry, these people are just as petty as anyone else you might know.
Yeah, I don't think it's saying like this is hopeless either. I think it's more so just showing like this is how it is. These people are petty, as you said, but then they're also like very funny. They also have their like traumas as well. Um, yeah, I think it's trying to show a realistic version. I think it does a pretty solid job. Me saying that without being on Wall Street, but
Yeah, yeah. But it knew, I imagine it knew mostly where it wanted to go for a while. Like the show was well planned out, well paced out.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, any parting thoughts?
We haven't talked about our favorite or like least favorite characters.
Mm. I mean, I think the best character in terms of writing is Logan. Like, I don't really think it's close. He's the one that's most fully realized.
Yeah, that didn't answer the question. But yeah, I agree with that. I was gonna say that as well. Like after we talked about our favorite and least favorite.
Um, Least favorite. Um, my
My favorite character like on screen is probably Greg. Like just because as soon as he's introduced to this show, I was like, yeah, I want more of this guy. Like I'm sure he's gonna play a role in like how everything unfolds and how everything like falls apart. There's no other reason to have some type of like fool, bumbling 6'8" fool who is loosely familial.
Yeah, he's probably the funniest character. And watching him be able to navigate a world he's unfamiliar with by just playing dumb and that always working is like it's a comedy well they return to often because it just works.
Yeah, and he definitely makes dumb decisions at times, but then also he is not dumb. Like it's pretty clear he's not dumb. He just never had money or he never had money and he was never taught like how to influence other people. Not that that makes you smart, but he like where he started obviously is completely different from the other characters.
In a way, like wealth isn't a complete mystery to him because as we find out, he is due a $250 million inheritance from Ewan.
Mm-hmm.
So like wealth is in his family, it's just his particular branch of it didn't have it immediately. But he's still
Yeah.
capable of manipulation just as well as anyone else. So the implication seems to be that the world grooms you for being able to do this as long as you don't have any like moral scruples about it. And
Yeah.
Greg immediately doesn't. Like by the third episode, he's just wheeling and dealing at like anyone else. He's like he putting food into the dog bags. Tom's like, what fuck are you doing? Like, do you have dog shit, Greg? Yeah, he's probably my favorite character. Just that the if it is, so it shall be. If it is to be said, then it shall. What? I would just wish to answer in the affirmative. You can speak normally. I shall. Connor is probably up there for me too. Because Connor, like, doesn't care about the power at all. Like, he never wants to do any of the work, but just has infinite money.
Mm-hmm.
Because that instead of Logan ever dealing with Connor in a meaningful way, meaningful being manipulating you into trying to win your company from you, instead he's just feels bad about like getting his mom suicided or something. I don't quite remember what happened to Connor's mom, but it was something bad. Like she either went
Rose.
to a yeah, she either went to a no, Rose I thought was his sister.
Oh yeah, Rose is his sister. Right. Which they had kind of hint at.
Yeah. Um but Connor's a special type of evil. Like buying a person, just trying to buy his way into the presidency. Like he is the least intelligent, clearly, of the four,
Yes.
but he has the same crazy delusions of grandeur that the other ones have. Um,
Yeah, the difference is his delusions of grandeur is typically outside of the business because he was never privy to that because their dad was just like, "Oh yeah, that one is not allowed in."
not for you. He was interested in politics at a very young age. But yeah, outside of them being my favorites, yeah, like obviously the whole show revolves around Logan, with the critical piece being the difference between how he's talked about when he's off screen, like the power that he holds over people when he's not around, and then the power he has when he's on screen and barely speaking, because he has very few lines compared to a lot of other people. Um, and he only gives a handful of speeches the whole show, but it's clear that everything that he's done to get to where he is has built up this reputation of being unstoppable.
Yes. Yeah, basically everything that he says and does um is like a continuation of the character that they have asserted from before. So like they allow you to fill in the void that they haven't shown of like his childhood and all the strong arming that he's done based on the strong arming he's doing now
Mhm.
with his children and with all of the business deals and whatnot. And it's interesting too because he is able to continue to strong arm people, but he also really struggles with adapting to the continually evolving scape, like landscape. And Madsen uh, directly takes advantage of that.
How so?
Well, especially when they visit, when he and Roman visit Madsen, and then they're talking about like whether or not Gojo could acquire whatever it is, Waystar. Um, it seems like Madsen is going to be able to get Logan to fold because of the amount of money that he is able to acquire and because he's able to navigate the different spheres of business, um, especially with tech. Like Logan does not understand tech.
No, to be clear, most of them, like when I say one might be intelligent or not, none of them are very smart. Like they don't really know anything that they're talking about. They just know how to do a very specific type of boardroom politicking.
No, I'm not saying you were saying that. I'm more so pointing out that I think the show is commenting on the fact that there are going to be a lot of techies who are also like business savvy to the point where they're able to maneuver their business into a place where they can acquire more money to then add other arms to their company and basically push out or acquire these old heads who are just like, yeah, news is news and you gotta print it. And when you print it, the people are gonna read it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's not like Matson really knows that much about tech either.
No.
Like, Matson is Musk,
Yes.
and Logan is Rupert Murdoch.
Yes. Correct.
Like, Logan's skill is being able to acquire so much that, like, he can just eat everything up and become big enough that he can't be messed with.
Mm-hmm.
And Gojo just needed a legitimate arm of its business so that when it inevitably pops because of its fraud, there's something backing it up.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mean to get too deep into the weeds on that, but I felt like it was also commenting on the continually evolving world and how yeah, I mean that's just how it is. These people are just gonna continue to face off, acquire, reacquire, be acquired.
Yeah. All right, well, I have to go.
It's
Sorry
a
to
good stopping
abruptly
point.
cut this short, but yeah, overall great show. There's definitely maybe some more to discuss, but I think we've covered most everything with how these characters think, why they think, how the environment influences them, and vice versa. Relationship to our world.
Definitely. Ewan is a strong contender for favorite character as well.
Mm.
Hugo might be my least favorite. Um, quite possibly. Love the actor, by the way.
Fisher Stevens.
Yeah, because he has our name. That's why I like him. No, it's because he's just so good at being that like slimy dude who's capable of just doing whatever. The line, woof woof.
Yeah, that.
Like I respect how out in the open he is about just being like, sure, I'll get on my knees and do whatever you want, but like I just despise that in a character. Yeah, I just figured I would say least favorite since we never really said that.
Least favorite. Mine would probably be Stewie.
Oh
Stewie
God.
slash Sandy.
Yeah, this
Because
is
he's
a good.
not really a character as much as he is a plot device, which the show doesn't do a lot of. So the fact that that is what he is, he has still some good lines. Like, if I like ask you about this, will you give me like, can I trust you about this? No.
Definitely not.
Yeah, but like as a friend, like, can I trust you with this? No.
No, as soon as the opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna fuck you.
I did tell you not to trust me.
Yeah. Sorry, this is a good stopping point. My like mic stand fell off.
Oh. Yeah, I gotta go. I got so much shit to do.
Adios, everyone.
Until again.